On here on this Wednesday, and we're so happy to catch up with our good friend Mariah Ross at Spartanburg, South Carolina. We've been breaking down spring football games. Mariah talked a little bit about Alabama, Tennessee, and now the school that you covered, South Carolina, now in the books with spring. I think there's so many questions and so many people who are really interested in this story because there's a lot of talent coming back, especially on offense. The head coach is back, but there's going to be some new things offensively for this team. Your take overall about spring practice and just kind of where this team stands with Shane Beamer coming back for next season.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they weren't able to have a spring game because they're redoing the stadium, and so
Gotcha. So
it's
they do
kind
like a
of
fan day
hard.
kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of hard to say without seeing that scrimmage exactly what is going on. But we've heard so many great things in the press conferences from Shane Beamer and, the rest of the coaching staff just talking about how well this group is beginning to gel with each other and really understand what this team may look like come 2026. And there's a lot of positive things, like you said, a lot of talent that is returning, a lot of guys who have really bought into Shane Beamer and what he's trying to build over there. And so a lot of optimism so far this spring. But of course, it's spring and it's easy to be optimistic in spring.
Absolutely. Well, one of those pieces on the offense that has been a little bit of a hot name this spring has been Matt Fuller at the running back position. Do you feel like he is going to be key to reviving the run game for the South Carolina team?
Absolutely. And that was something that they really wanted to do last year, but struggled to do just because of so many issues along the offensive line. So it's obviously going to start up front and in the trenches. And they've been kind of changing guys out and just seeing what works, what piece of the puzzle they need to plug in at certain moments. But absolutely, I mean, we saw Matt Fuller do some really great things last year later in the season. And so just to see how he grows and how the offensive line grows as a whole, I think is going to be very important and take a lot of pressure off of Lenore Sellers, who kind of wants to put on that Superman persona and do it all. But of course, as we saw last year, he can't do it all. He needs the rest of his team. So to have that support from the running back room is absolutely going to be crucial.
And going off of Gabriella's question there, the fact that he was named Offensive Player of the Spring, what message do you think that's trying to send the fan base coming out of these spring practices?
I think it's trying to tell the fan base to be confident in the fact that this run game is finally going to be something that can be appreciated, and the fact that they are really trying to push each other in that room. There is constant competition. It's something that will probably continue all the way through fall of just, who's going to be the player, who's going to be the one to step up and make it happen for this team. And just the fact that he was able to do that during the spring and really put his name out there and show that he is the one that people should be keeping an eye on, I think is just showing the fan base to have confidence and to believe in the fact that, this run game that we've been hearing about for years is finally going to come to fruition this year.
I think you used the key word is finally, because it feels like they've been trying to find it for a really long time. Head coach Shane Beamer talked about the offensive player of the spring.
Yeah, we went over the awards. Here's what they are and here's what they stand for. And then I gave the offensive and defensive and special team staff, basically a week to kind of talk about it amongst themselves. And then that we would come back together in a staff meeting and they present, their thoughts to me. And there were a couple that I said, I don't know about that one right now. I don't quite see it the same way. But that was one that they came back to me and felt like Matt had the best spring, and I agreed with. And we determined that as a staff in our staff meeting last week, Jack. But I think Matt's always been a really talented guy. I mean, you go back to the end of the Kentucky game last season, he got in on that long drive we had at the end of the fourth quarter to put the game away or to really not give the ball back to Kentucky. He was the running back out there on the field that day. He did some things as a true freshman in 24 that you said, this guy's got a chance to really be a good player. Last year, the run against LSU. So he's flashed. The thing for Matt has just been the consistency, and I believe that Stan Drayton has come in and done a phenomenal job with him. Just the details, the understanding, really the pass protection. And there were a lot of plays that we had in the passing game this spring that were a reflection of Matt and a blitz pickup that maybe he had. So I think it's just confidence, his details of how he's doing things day in, day out. It's his third year in the program, so he's a more mature version than what he was a couple years ago, and you're seeing that manifest itself with the way that he's performing on the field. But he's a workhorse that's a load, and I think a lot of guys had really good springs, but he was just one our offensive staff felt like really really flashed and has us excited about.
And Mariah, as you break down the spring, and as from what you've heard, from what you've seen in the video that you guys got, what are some of the biggest improvements for this team, maybe outside of Fuller, and some of the ways that you think, okay, well, 2026 will look very different compared to 2025 because of X factor?
I mean, I think the offensive line, and it's kind of hard to say again, but they really are trying to do their best to improve that unit, and bringing in the new coaching staff to kind of help with that. You see a different confidence level and just a different kind of drive. Obviously, this is a very tight team. They've been very tight, and Shane Beamer promotes that with all of his players. But just to see them kind of grow and develop and really buy into everything that their coaches are telling them, I think that is an area where we'll definitely see improvement, and it's kind of hard to not improve after last season and to go any further, because it was a real struggle for them last season. And so I have a lot of confidence with that group, just primarily based off of the coaching staff and what they are trying to implement with them.
Mariah, we've had this discussion on our show, and I'd love to get your take on it, just because of what we've seen in the past couple years with the South Carolina team. It feels like if this year is not the year that Shane Beamer is able to turn things around, he might be on the hot seat. Is that kind of how you see things as well?
I do think that is a possibility for sure. And he had that really great season in 24, and to kind of take that step back in 25, I think people were still just wanting to give him a chance. And, there were a lot of factors that you could place blame on for the issues that they had last season. But I definitely think now the fact that he brought in this new coaching staff, and prior to this, he was always promoting coaches from within. So the fact that he went outside, brought in coaches that he believes in, a lot more of it is on his shoulders, I think, than in the past couple of years. And so I absolutely feel like if he doesn't have an excellent season this year, that might be a possibility for sure.